Have you ever felt like you're living far below your true potential? You have big dreams. You want to succeed. You want to change your life. You want to look back one day and proudly say, I made it. But somehow, day after day, you're still stuck in the same place. Still waking up later than you planned. Still spending more time on your phone than you intended. Still putting off the things that matter most. Still telling yourself, I'll start tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes. And everything repeats itself all over again. You know what you should be doing. You know what you need to learn. You know you should be exercising. You know you should start that project. You know you should take better care of yourself. Yet somehow, you don't do it. And the most painful part isn't failure. The most painful part is knowing that deep down you're capable of so much more. You know you're not useless. You know you're not lacking potential. You know that if you truly committed yourself and stayed consistent, your life could be completely different. And because you know that, every time you procrastinate, the guilt becomes heavier. At first, it's just a small discomfort. One evening you don't study, one day you skip your workout, one task you push off until tomorrow. But then one day becomes 1 week becomes 1 month becomes an entire year, and eventually something dangerous happens. You stop seeing procrastination as a habit. You start seeing it as who you are. You tell yourself, I'm lazy, I have no discipline, I'm not strong enough, I always quit. And once you start believing those labels, everything changes. Because when you believe you're lazy, you stop looking for ways to improve. You simply accept it as part of your identity. You begin living as if procrastination is your destiny. Then a new year arrives. You open your old notes, and once again, you write down the same familiar goals. This year I'll get in shape. This year I'll learn a new language. This year I'll make more money. This year I'll become a better version of myself. At first you're excited. You feel motivated. You imagine a future version of yourself, more confident, more disciplined, more successful. You watch motivational videos. You buy a new planner. You create the perfect schedule. And you tell yourself, this time will be different. But a few days later, that familiar feeling returns. You don't feel like starting. The work feels overwhelming. You feel tired. You think I'll do it later. Then later becomes tonight. Tonight becomes tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. And before you know it, you're right back where you started. The same phone, the same procrastination, the same guilt, the same question, why am I like this? Maybe you think the problem is a lack of motivation. But that's not always true. After all, you've felt motivated before. You've genuinely wanted to change. You've started before. So why do you keep stopping? Maybe you think the problem is social media. But even if you delete every app, you'll probably find something else to distract yourself with. YouTube, video games, snacks, sleep, even organizing things that don't matter just to avoid the things that do. The truth is, distractions are only the surface. They're not the root cause. They're simply where you run when you don't want to face the discomfort of getting started. The real problem goes much deeper, and it can be summarized in a single word: inertia. In physics, inertia is the tendency of an object at rest to stay at rest, and an object in motion to stay in motion unless acted upon by an external force. It sounds like something from a high school science class. But it also describes your life perfectly. When you're lying in bed, getting up feels difficult. When you're scrolling through your phone, putting it down feels difficult. When you've procrastinated all day, starting work in the evening feels difficult. Not because you're weak, but because you're at rest. And things at rest naturally resist movement. That's inertia. The bigger the task, the stronger the inertia. When you tell yourself, I need to write a 5,000-word essay, your brain immediately feels pressure. When you tell yourself, I need to work out for an hour, your brain imagines exhaustion. When you tell yourself, I need to completely change my life, your brain becomes overwhelmed. And when the brain feels overwhelmed, it chooses the easiest path: avoidance. It tells you you're not ready. It tells you to wait until you're inspired. It tells you that you can do it later. It tells you that taking today off won't hurt. But here's the problem. Motivation doesn't always come before action. Very often, action comes first. You don't wait for motivation to start. You start first. Then motivation follows. Think of it like a giant wheel. At the beginning, pushing it feels incredibly difficult. You have to force it forward. It feels heavy. You want to quit. But once the wheel starts moving, it becomes easier. And once it gains momentum, you don't need nearly as much effort to keep it going. Life works the same way. The hardest part isn't working for hours. The hardest part is starting. Opening the laptop, writing the first sentence, getting out of bed, putting on your shoes, walking out the door, putting your phone away, pressing record. These tiny moments determine whether you win or lose the day. So if starting is the hardest part, the solution isn't to become tougher. The solution is to make starting so easy that you have no reason to avoid it. Don't say, I need to finish the entire project. Say, I'll just work for 2 minutes. Don't say, I need to write an entire chapter. Say, I'll write 50 words. Don't say, I need an intense workout. Say, I'll just put on my workout clothes and warm up. Don't say, I need to clean the whole room. Say, I'll clean one corner of my desk. Sounds ridiculously small, doesn't it? That's exactly why it works. Because your goal in the beginning isn't completion. Your goal is movement. Your goal is breaking the state of rest. Once you've started, everything becomes easier. You write 50 words and suddenly you're writing 200 more. You work for 2 minutes and suddenly 20 minutes have passed. You clean one corner and suddenly half the room is done. You open the project and suddenly you're making progress. Not every time. Some days you'll only do the 2 minutes. And that's okay, because 2 minutes is still infinitely better than 0. Every time you start, you're sending your brain a new message. I am someone who takes action. I don't need perfection to begin. I don't need motivation to move. I just need one small step. And over time, those small steps begin to change the way you see yourself. You're no longer the person who always procrastinates. You're the person who knows how to start. And that's a massive difference. Most people fail because they try to change their entire life overnight. They want to go from never exercising to training 6 days a week, from never reading to reading 50 pages a day, from doing nothing to working 10 hours straight. But massive change often creates massive resistance. Pressure creates fear. Fear creates avoidance. Instead, start so small that it almost feels ridiculous. One push-up, one paragraph, one phone call, one message, one step, 1 minute of focus. Small does not mean meaningless. Small is how you walk through the doorway of change. You don't need to win your entire life today. You only need to win the first moment. The moment when you want to procrastinate but choose to act anyway. The moment when you want to stay in bed but sit up. The moment when you want to keep scrolling but put your phone down. The moment when you want to quit but continue for 2 more minutes. That's where discipline is built. Not on the days when you're full of energy, but on the days when you don't feel like doing anything and you still take one small step. And remember this, you do not need to feel ready. Many people spend their entire lives waiting to feel ready, waiting for the perfect time, waiting for the right mood, waiting for more confidence, waiting for less stress, waiting for life to become easier. But the perfect moment rarely arrives. If you wait for everything to feel easy, you'll remain stuck forever. Life doesn't change because you think about it. Life changes because you act, no matter how small that action is. Want a healthier body? Start by putting on your shoes. Want to write a book? Start with 1 sentence. Want to build a YouTube channel? Start with 1 video idea. Want to learn a new skill? Start with 5 minutes a day. Want to improve your life? Start by doing one thing that your future self would be proud of. You don't need perfection. You don't need something dramatic. You don't need anyone's approval. You just need to start. Because once you start often enough, you build something more powerful than motivation. You build identity. You begin to believe, I keep promises to myself. I take action even when I don't feel like it. I always come back after setbacks. I don't quit because of one bad day. That's real transformation. Not becoming a machine that never gets tired. Not feeling motivated every day. Not eliminating procrastination forever, but refusing to let procrastination define who you are. You might procrastinate one morning, but you start again in the afternoon. You might miss one day, but you don't miss an entire week. You might fail once, but you don't turn failure into your identity. One bad day doesn't make you a failure. One moment of procrastination doesn't make you lazy. One small step is still progress. So today, don't try to change your entire life. Don't create the perfect plan. Don't wait for motivation. Don't beat yourself up. Just choose one thing, one small thing, the thing you've been avoiding for far too long. Open the document, write 50 words, clean one corner of your desk, take a 5-minute walk, send that message, read 1 page, turn off your phone for 10 minutes. Do the smallest thing possible, not to finish everything, but to prove to yourself that you can still begin. Because once you begin, you're no longer standing still. And when you're no longer standing still, inertia starts working in your favor. One action leads to another. One good day leads to a better day. One kept promise creates more confidence. One small step today can become an entirely different life tomorrow. You don't need to see the whole path. You don't need to know exactly how everything will unfold. You don't need certainty. As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, you don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. So don't ask, how do I change my entire life? Ask, what is the smallest first step I can take right now? And once you find it, take it. Just 2 minutes. Just 1 step. Just one small action. Because that tiny action might be the moment you begin becoming the person you've always wanted to be.